Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to get started. It's just about 6:30. Not to have to hold you too long, I just promised to give you an update on our split sessions and some other information and where we are with the project at the high school. And so I'd like to take the opportunity to do that tonight. Again, that is the purpose of the meeting. It's to just give you an update on how we're doing with our split sessions and other activities that we're planning for our kids. And then talk about upcoming events. And I'll be talking to you a little bit about what my proposal will be at the board meeting on Monday night for our makeup days. And then I'll give you a construction update with a timeline for when I think and hope we'll be back over at the high school, okay? So with all of that, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce again Mr. Bannon, the high school principal, and Mr. Shore, junior high school principal, as I've asked them to just talk about a few minutes about how the split sessions are going and what types of activities we have coming up for our students. Before I do that, however, this is a time I want to take this opportunity. Let me make you walk away. I really want to thank, again, members of the community who have stepped up and offered to give us assistance. So in the last meeting, I gave you some names of folks that have reached out to us and have offered to help. And in addition to those folks, tonight I would like to publicly thank Fred Everson, for helping us with tickets and publicity for White Christmas, our upcoming musical. Nancy Moore, who has provided transportation for students who need rides. Richard Kidrick and John Zimmerman, who have provided help with off-site facilities, allowing us to build away from the school for our sets. Mary Beth Weidendorf, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and Taylor Brennan, for their unbelievable and gracious help getting us into the stack. Scott Barr for assisting with set construction, Wendy Yu, Jackie Thornton, also, and for homecoming, Chris Loftus, for athletics, Maggie Milano, and also George Chidiak, who is the Stafford Township Board of Ed superintendent, who reached out to us and has offered the use of his of the stack for our school play. So let's please give them all a round of thanks and applause. It just points again to the sense of community that's very strong here. And so I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the help of all the folks who stepped up. And if you've been helping and I don't have your name here, please accept my apologies and my thanks. So now I'll turn over to Mr. Bannon for a few minutes to talk to you about the high school split session.
Thank you, Dr. Banks. So far, the split sessions have gone very well at the high school. The students are coming in every morning, going out at 11:34. Our transition's been great. Our gracious hosts of the junior high have been fantastic. Really some very positive things, walking around every day, seeing nothing but learning. Students really seem like they're adapting very well to our new facility and our new setup here, and it's worked out very well. We even had a fantastic turnout on Saturday night at the for homecoming. We had food and sandwiches, desserts, and so on offered here. We had the whole dance in the gymnasium, as Dr. Banks said, with some volunteers help out with some things too, and really was a fantastic event. Close to 500 students went for that and really had nothing but positive things to say with the change of venue, which I know was not something that they expected. They expected to have the dance in our commons, but really nothing but positive things to say from that. So it was a great turnout. And in general, like I said, everything's really been working out well. We are having our students are now taken care of in terms of academics. We've been able to work out our situations with making sure that our A&O students stay after school for 2 hours a day once they get here. So they're all getting their educational components filled. We are working out fine with athletics. In fact, we've had great success recently If you have not heard, our girls volleyball team were Beast South champions. It is our first conference, I'm sorry, not our short conference, I apologize, short conference champions. It's our first short conference championship since 85. Is that right? Okay. 84, thank you, Mr. Sonderman. But huge success there, really happy with that. So you can see that even with the way that the students have adapted from their academics and the athletics after school has worked out very well. So again, really great success across the board. Still a few things we're working out in terms of activities, trying to make sure we can still get them in. We've been in conversation with transportation in Durham to figure out how we can work that out. It's a little tough with the bus routes we have available, but we're really trying to see if there's a way for us to still have that going. So that really is our last piece of the puzzle we're trying to work out for our students. But beyond that, everything's going very well so far.
Super, thank you, Mr. Bannon. Mr. Shore.
Thank you, Dr. Bakes. Thank you, Mr. Bannon. Pleasure to see everyone tonight. Just a quick update on the junior high school. As you know, the junior high school kids are coming in a little bit later now. So what happens is that we hold the junior high school students till about 11:20. The high school staff has been gracious enough to end their PE classes about 10 or so minutes early. We have all our buses line up. About 20 after 11, we do a control release. Well, we don't let all the kids come in because usually we have them come in. We have both main entrances come in, but we just have our main entrance and our gym. So I let 3 or 4 buses off at a time, at which point the students come in. They can go into the gymnasium or into the cafeteria. Both locations are providing grab and go or breakfast type sandwiches. We've actually extended that not only for the junior high school students, but for the high school students. So really, we're looking at we continue to serve food throughout the day from about, I would say, 8 o'clock, 7:30 until about 2 o'clock. So we have let the staff know that under these circumstances to have a little bit more flexibility if the kids are hungry or if they need a drink in between classes, if they want to buy something, if they're doing after school activities, that will run till about 2 o'clock. So we have the kids in the locations for about 15 or 20 minutes. At about 11:35, the high school will dismiss. All those kids get out and get onto the buses, at which time we then dismiss the junior high school students to their whatever period we're doing on a green or gold day. Again, things are going pretty well. The kids have adapted pretty well. It is good to see a lot of old faces from the high school. I don't know how happy they are here at the junior high school, but it is good to see those upperclassmen that have come through and you don't necessarily get to see all the time because they're across the street. Activities are continuing to run normal. We just in conversations, we have rescheduled our junior high school dance for this Friday. So we'll be here in the cafeteria from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The next big event that we actually were able to move is we have our Junior National Honor Society Veterans Day Luncheon, which is on the 17th of November, which usually runs a little bit earlier around lunchtime. So we're looking to move that between the hours of 1 and 3 so we can still accommodate. It's a great event for the community. So as far as the junior high school go, everything seems to be running pretty smoothly in our set of circumstances. So again, I think a big thanks goes to Dr. Banks and all the administrative staff and the staff and the kids for being so adaptable in this. So I know from us, thank you guys for everything. So thank you, Dr. Banks.
Thanks, Mr. Shore. Mr. Sunderman, any updates on athletics? Okay, thanks. Again, also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff, and the administrative team, the students, parents, all of you for understanding and pitching in and being flexible during this very challenging time. So while it's not an ideal situation, the split sessions are going along smoothly, and so we're hoping to not have to be here that much longer. I'll get to that in a few minutes. Just a few more housekeeping items. Just so you know, Ellen Ward is here, our Director of Special Services, and she'll be available to speak to anyone at the end of this meeting, should you need to speak with her privately about any concerns that you have. I had mentioned to you that we have 5 days that we have to make up as a result of our closure in October. And I've put a proposal on the agenda for discussion at our board meeting next Monday night that will involve a calendar change for the following dates, and just going to run through those again. This is all pending board approval, by the way, but this is my proposal, and as a result of meeting with the administrative team and the Teachers Association. The makeup days, the recommendation will be presented as follows. 2 full days on February 15 and 16. 1 half day on February 19, that's President's Day. And during spring break, April 5 and 6, that's Thursday and Friday, that will be in full session. And remember, we haven't even had winter yet and snow days. So any snow days we have after that will have to be added on to the end of the school year calendar in June. So that's the proposal and up for discussion. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the construction update for you. I just want you to know before I go any further that I did send invitations out to our architect, Brooks Garrison, and our project manager from New Roads, Chuck Romanoli, to be here tonight to answer any questions that you might have, and they have indicated that they were not able to be here. So, having said that, I'm going to give you the update as much as I can, and what I would invite you to do is come on Monday night to ask your questions, because they will be there at the board work session. So you know that we closed down because of concern with loose screws in the ceiling falling, and they've been working diligently to remove those screws. And as of the latest report that I got, which was this afternoon, they're about 85% complete with that removal. There are a couple of glitchy areas that they're having difficulty reaching, such as on the stage, above the catwalk, and in the Commons area where the 9/11 memorial is up over there, and some areas over in the auxiliary gym. So they're working to complete that as we speak between today and tomorrow. So I'm hoping that that will be completed within the next few days. In addition to that, they're still doing the cleaning of the debris in the ceilings. And I believe, Rich, you'll have to help me out. I believe they're finished with most of the second floor, and there's just a few hallways that they have to do. So after that's done, we now have to worry about the brickwork that's being done up on the roof, that rising wall. If you've been driving by, I think you see that the brickwork has been going up. It's over where the auditorium is. So that's been moving along quickly, but every time we get rain, that gets shut down. We have a construction meeting tomorrow afternoon, and that'll be getting updates on where we are with the brickwork and finalizing of that. Finalizing of the cleaning of the building, air quality testing of the building before I send us back into the building. So what does that do in terms of our timeline? We're still hoping for mid-November at the earliest, and hopefully the latest first week in December, for getting our kids back over into the high school. So that's our plan as of right now. I'll be putting out an updated press release and parent notification after we have our construction meeting tomorrow night. So if anything has changed as a result of that, in terms of the timeline, I'll certainly let you know. But that's our goal, and that's what we're working on. I asked Mr. Mueller to be here to talk a little bit about the new requirements from the state for lead testing. We've just had our lead testing done, and I'm asking him to just talk a few minutes about it. And we're going to be posting our lead testing results on the website tomorrow, and I'll be sending a letter home, which is what I'm required to do. But since he's here, I wanted him to talk to you a little bit about what the lead testing results have been. Thank you.
Good evening. Just want to give you an update on the state of New Jersey required as of last year to do lead testing in all schools, public schools and everything. We kind of were with one of the first ones, did the testing in June. We hired an environmental company, Parse Environmental. We called them in and they helped me actually go through the junior high school and high school, collect samples. As of last year in June 21st, I think we did the testing. In the junior high school, we collected 20 samples and in the high school, 25. Now they collected them, they sent them out to their laboratory and everything. We got the results back and they were all within limits of the New Jersey guidelines. So this year, we felt that I want to go one step a little bit further since we had some classrooms where there was cooking and other stuff being done. So you guys know we hired TTI is our new environmental company on records. They did all the testing, the air testing, asbestos testing and everything. So under their guidelines, I collected this year, I collected 50 samples in the junior high school and 54 in the high school itself. Now I took every source where there's cooking or drinking water we use them, so I took every sample we could. We got the results back and everything. We had in the junior high school, we had one room where there's some cooking done, and that was years ago. There was a science room, and they had the faucets were installed there. So with recommendation of TTI, I changed 5 faucets out and made them regular kitchen faucets like what you used to, what you have at home. I did that actually on Friday, and I took samples yesterday morning from those 5 faucets, which I sent out today. So every test and everything came back okay. They were all under the limits, and I'm waiting for those 5 tests to come back, which I collected yesterday morning. The way to test this, you have to let the water sit from 8 to 48 hours, so it has to be stagnant. So I chose to do it on the weekend. So we let the water run Friday morning. I came in yesterday morning, almost 40-some hours after, and I collected the sample. They provided me with plastic bottles. I labeled them and everything, and that's how they get sent to the laboratory. So hopefully within a couple of days, I get the results from the 5 remaining faucets I changed out in the junior high school, and then we are in all compliance with that. So I guess pretty much we keep on doing it. The guidelines for retesting for the state of New Jersey, if you don't make any construction changes or you're not moving anything around or changing any walls or changing any plumbing, the next test we have to do within 6 years. So that's the guidelines the state of New Jersey gives you. So, and they're available out there. You can post them, I guess, with the results on the website, so you can read the guidelines yourself. So I think that's pretty much from the testing. Thank you.
Any questions for Rich while he's up here? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for the update. Okay, just a few more things. I just wanted to remind you, or let you know, if you have not yet gone onto the website, there are 3 new postings under the health and safety area. One is an air quality test at the high school, and I think the date is October 18th. That has come back clear, so that's a good thing. We had a soil sample testing of the playground. That report came in today, October 30th, and it was taken on October 18th. There was a finding of some non-friable debris and material in the soil, in the mulch, in that playground. That playground has been shut down since the first week of October, and what we're doing is hiring an outside independent contractor to come in and clean that out. And we will be retesting that before we let those kids back on the onto the playground. So I want you to know that that's there, have an opportunity to look at that.
How long were the kids playing on it
Okay.
before you tested?
We have, as of right now, I had 2 days where the students in September were on the playground, September 26th and 27th.
contaminated soil?
We don't know that.
You just said they were contaminated.
It just came back contaminated. We don't know when it was contaminated.
I got that question for you.
Okay.
Made myself anew. I would like to know when the Pinelands Regional Board of Education first became aware of the September 10th letter from Epic Environmental. Is this why Epic was fired?
I can't answer your question about Epic Environmental. Perhaps Mr. Brennan can do that. But as far as the September 10th report is concerned, are you asking me personally or the board?
Board.
Okay, you'd have to come to the board meeting on Monday night, ask a member of the board that question.
All right, when was OSHA made aware of the violation? Or when did OSHA make the board aware of the violation?
Which violations are those, sir?
Any violation?
I'm not sure I can answer your question because I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Just so you know, I understand what.
I'm sorry.
Any and all violations that the school would find out.
Mr. Brennan?
Violation, what was the last part? When was the Board of Education made aware of the OSHA violations?
It's actually a POSHA, Public Employee Relations OSHA, that pertains to us. It was in the beginning of August, the date escapes me right now, but the board was made aware of it through informal discussions from that date. And then the report came out last week sometime, the official report from POSHA.
What has been done to rectify the violations?
The violations were paperwork in nature. It was an indoor air quality plan.
Were the ducts ever cleaned?
I'm sorry, were the ducts ever cleaned?
Clean.
We just installed ductwork in our junior high. So that's brand new. So I honestly know we haven't. In the high school, we have unit ventilators, and we clean those on an annual basis and preventative tests for mold, which that report's on there.
How about after all the school was closed, they weren't supposed to use the ductwork? Was those ducts ever cleaned after?
I would have to confirm with the contractor on that one. I'm not quite sure. I
Will
don't
they
know.
be cleaned before the kids?
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to that question, and we can get you. I don't know the internal.
It's your job.
Okay.
It is.
That's what you're supposed to do.
No,
Listen, we'll answer your questions, okay? But please, we'll be very happy to answer your questions, but I can't let that happen, okay? Please, I'll be very happy to answer your questions, Mr. Brennan, but we need to just ask the questions and we'll get you the answers. Yes, sir.
So you hired an independent contractor to clean the playground area?
We're going to. Did you get them yet?
And that is being paid for by whom?
That's what
we're seeking legal counsel on that because it should be part of what the contractor is required to do. But as we all know, the contractor hasn't really fulfilled its requirement, its cleanliness. So it really comes down to a legal issue of how we want to handle it. So ideally, what I would like to do is back charge the contractor for that, whatever the cost may be, and not only for the area of the playground, but the area around the entire building.
All right, a follow-up real quick to this gentleman's question here. When were you advised of the letter of September 10th?
When was I personally advised?
Yes, ma'am.
For the record, I
Yes.
was not aware of the September 10th record until approximately 2 weeks ago. Had I known about that when I should have, I would have closed down the building.
Okay,
I was here. I knew about it.
okay. May I address the question, Mr. Brennan? As the board is your employer and Dr. Banks your superior, why was she not made aware of that as superintendent of schools here until almost 2 weeks ago? That's inexcusable.
September 10th was a Sunday. We had a meeting on September 11th, a workshop meeting where our professionals attended, including in that meeting was the author of that report. The contents of that letter were discussed at that meeting and were posted later on that week on our website approximately September 16th, 17th. So there was discussions with our professionals about the issues that occurred that weekend of September 8th through September 10th.
Okay, my last question. Why were the children allowed back into that school when in your contract and in your bid specs, it clearly says no one, students or faculty, should be in that building while roof work is being performed? Why were they there?
We were given information on August 30th from Epic Environmental that indicates that we were asbestos-free. So based on that report, until we saw circumstances differently on September 8th, I believe it was, we believe that there was no asbestos problem in the building.
Okay, I wish to read into the record this evening. Section 7565, preparation for re-roofing. 1.1C, all roof work shall be conducted within the contract limits, but in no case while students or faculty are in the building. Signed by you, sir.
Correct, and that was at the advice.
So why were they there? Why were our children, our staff, our administration put in harm's way? Why? It clearly states in the, and there's two other places. If you'd like, I could read them also.
We were under the impression, based on the August 30th report from Epic Environmental, there was no danger to the occupants of the building.
You violated your own bid specs and your own contract. You signed it as administrator. Why did this happen? Somebody needs to give this public an answer.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we also need some assistance from the people who are not here, and that is the architect and our project manager. Who were they? They were invited to come and they declined to come. They will be here on Monday night, and I believe all of these questions that you had really should be brought up again there, and they will be answered also then. Yes, sir.
Full due respect to everyone here, just 30 seconds. I'm looking at the village of President of Paris, right behind you, sir. Right behind you, sir. Responsibility meets the demands of duty. Your job is accountable. All the board members' job. Pursues excellent and exercises self-control. Well, you had plenty of self-control sending the kids to school. And my son, who's now a senior, and as well as everybody else here, runs the risk in years to come of cancer. There's not enough stuff in the air that we breathe, enough stuff in the water. Why? If you could answer me, why?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just a few more questions, please. That if we can't answer your question, please come Monday night. I promise you we will.
I will be there Monday night, but just like you
No,
said,
because,
take
excuse me,
responsibility.
excuse me. The contractor
did not put my son in school. You two did.
Are there any other questions related to the split session
Why are you
or the
blowing her off?
timeline?
Why are you blowing her off?
No, sir.
Take
I'm just trying to,
responsibility.
listen, I'm trying to keep the focus on what the purpose of the meeting was tonight. And that was to talk, to give you the time.
It's help.
Okay.
And again, you do the same thing at every meeting. You can't answer the questions, and I'm getting really tired of it as a parent.
All right, listen, she said she'll answer the question on Monday. She's talking about the split session.
That's not true.
She's talking about the split session.
I'm gonna have to shut this down.
No, it's addressing on Monday.
Correct. And I'm sorry, but every.
Which meeting are you talking about, Dave? Which meeting was that?
September 11th. I'd have to look at the minutes. I don't know off the top of my head. But it was a workshop.
Another question here?
Thanks. This question is for Mr. Brennan. I'm a little confused on an answer that you had just said. August, you had the first inspection stating that there was no friable asbestos. And then you said, when did you get that letter? September 10th letter was when you received it?
The August 30th letter was to monitor the construction.
Correct.
Then there was another issue that developed, I think it was September 8th. So there was another letter that was issued on September 10th.
Okay.
That I may have received.
How do you receive it? I'm just curious because.
Through email.
Okay, so email, do they also send it by mail as well?
Perhaps.
Did they verbally ask you and tell you what was said in that, just to make sure? Because I would think with the school, they would know that the school's going to be starting and that would be a liability for them. So I would think that they would make, with something that serious, make you aware, not only by email, but by a verbal phone call. Did they do that?
They told me there was an issue they were investigating that week, and then
Okay.
we visited on that Monday.
Okay.
All the information was
So when did school start?
September 7th.
Okay, and when did, you said September 16th or something, you posted it?
Thereabouts.
Okay, so then that means that you knew about it from, say, the 10th to the 16th? What days were they in school? Was that a weekend at that time? You said there was a Sunday that was the 16th, so
The 11th
somewhere?
was a Monday, yeah.
Okay, so there was a whole week there that you definitely knew that there was friable asbestos above those classrooms, is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Why is that not correct? What part didn't I understand?
I'm not an environmental engineer to say there is
Okay, but you
friable,
did get
there's
a letter,
non-friable.
right?
But I also did get air tests that says the air
Right.
was clean on the inside,
that's-
and that work would not continue on the roof, and it
Okay,
did not.
so let me, I'm a little confused because that September letter. Right, okay, can you hear me? Okay, so September 10th, I'm just confused, I want to make sure that I'm not,
Here, answer the best of my ability.
The other mic. That battery's going dead.
so, hello, hello, okay. Okay, so September 10th, that letter, September 16th was a Sunday. So even if I have no experience in that either, okay, but I was able to read that letter and understand what that last sentence stated, which was not to allow those kids in that school with that material being worked on above, especially that D wing. Did you understand that letter?
I understood the letter, and I understood the advice that we
So
got from the
I'm just-
professionals on September 11th
Okay,
in the board meeting that said, as long as no work continues above the D
Right.
wing, which it did not,
Did.
which I was advised of.
that wing was, my son was in that wing. And her daughter was in that wing and had ceiling tiles falling in the classroom. That wing was definitely being worked on. I have 2 children in there. They both said it, that they heard it, they saw it. It was definitely being worked on, especially in that D wing where that problem was. I just want to know why you would have not taken that warning seriously. And even if you said that August letter or your meeting, there still was a question of a letter with wording on it that specifically stated not to do that. Wouldn't you think, just to take precaution, either if you couldn't stop the school from starting, wouldn't it have been smart? How many classrooms exactly are in that D wing?
I don't know without looking.
4? Maybe 4 or 4 or 5? There's got to be a number in that D wing that we know of. We don't know how many. Does any teachers or principals know how many classrooms are in that D wing? Okay, so say 5, 6, whatever. So 5, 6, there should have been, even, you could make little classrooms for those 5, 6 classrooms to easily have avoided any kind of problem. Even if you couldn't have avoided it within the entire school, you would have at least looked like you tried, okay? But we didn't try, we didn't even try. So as a business, anybody in the school, whoever was in charge, especially you, since you had the letter that stated it, why wouldn't you have taken that warning and just tried, is what I want to know. Mistakes happen, I get that, but I just want to know why, because I, as a mother, I can't stop thinking of this. Every night that goes by, I can't stop thinking of it. It's bothering me, it's taking a toll on me, and I cannot stop. And you, as the professional, should have said, there's a lot of people involved, little kids that are teenagers, and mothers of all people are crazy, okay? Why wouldn't you have taken that warning? Even if somebody else said, no, it might be okay, because the other person said, no, don't put them in there. I just want to know what you're thinking.
As I said in our meeting of September 11th, when those professionals were there advising the board and us of the situation, of the details that are in that letter, there was no recommendation to close the building.
Can I ask which experts and professionals were at that meeting? Was it Epic?
Epic Environmental, New Road Construction, Garrison Architect.
Epic was the one that made the recommendation to cease the work. Why would they then turn around and say, oh, my bad, it's okay?
Do you have an answer to that?
We made decisions based on the information that was
Do you
given to us at the time.
do you think your decision was correct at this point, after what has happened?
At this point, no, on hindsight is 2020, but at the time and the information that we had, we made the best decision we could.
Mr. Brennan, when did you notify the board of that September 11th letter? And did you notify them?
In the meeting, the author of that report was discussing the contents of that letter. He said he was providing it to me, and I indicated, like I did with all the other test results, that it would be posted on our website, and it was in a reasonable period of time after.
Okay, but did you notify the board members of that letter? Did they see it?
They were in, I don't know if they're aware of it. I could just give them access to it. But the information was there and provided about the situation that was occurring above the D-wing roof.
Okay, and you still stand by there was no work on that building, on the roof of that building after the 10th?
I stand by what I'm advised of. I'm not on that roof every day, and I'm not an engineer, and I'm not an architect, and I'm not a contractor, so I have to base my opinion based on the information that was given to me. And they were telling me there was no roof work going on in the area that was affected.
Okay, who was telling you that?
That was our list of professionals I provided you earlier.
I have a follow-up about that. The gentleman over here said in 3 different spots that there was, under no circumstances should construction happen if anyone's in the building. Not in this part of the building or that part of the building, but if they're anywhere in the building, that construction shouldn't occur. So that's number 1. And number 2, that letter on September 10th said, it's so loud. That letter on September 10th said, Epic Environmental said, stop construction. So those 2 things, the legal contract and the environmental consultant's recommendation, was ignored or not followed or whatever it is for 3 full weeks. And I don't understand. Someone made a decision or passively didn't make a decision, and I'd like to understand how that happened. 3 full weeks of students being in school during construction, despite the contract, despite the recommendation of Epic.
My recollection of the Epic report says that the areas can be occupied provided that the work doesn't continue above the affected areas. I was advised that it did not occur and it did not restart until I believe it was the first week of October. If there's a discrepancy in that could be, but I was told and advised by the people that have been contracted to oversee the project and the contractor specifically that was directed not to be over there, to stay away from that.
Okay, just one last is, even so, I understand that, but still, Epic recommended specifically stop construction, and it wasn't stopped for 3 weeks.
It said that it could be occupied provided construction doesn't occur on the roof above the area affected.
That's not what the EPIC letter of September 10th says.
I'll go, if I'm wrong, I'll go back and read it, but I think that was our operation. That was the recommendation that we operated under.
We do have a different question over here.
I was just curious because I've been told that EPIC was fired before you guys brought in TTI, but we've never been given a reason of why they were fired. And every single construction meeting or board meeting that we go to, the only people that we get to talk to are TTI and New Roads Construction. Is at any point EPIC going to be brought back to field some of these questions, considering that they're never here? And when we ask TTI questions about some of the stuff that they did, they say, well, we didn't do it, we can't answer that question.
We can ask. The issue with EPIC and fired isn't entirely accurate. The board actually put out an RFP at the end of August, and they appointed TTI in its the September board meeting. The date escapes me right now. EPIC didn't respond to the RFP. We wanted to have one sole environmental consultant for the duration of the project because we had multiple going on at this specific time. So to provide some consistency, we did an RFP, and then that's how TTI was appointed. So EPIC wasn't fired per se, they just didn't respond to a request for proposal in that process, and we only had 2 responses, and one of them was TTI, and the other one was Ahira Consultants, who are very reputable in the profession. And basically, it came down to price as far as TTI, because they're very, very equal in qualifications.
Are those bids available and non-bids available? Because we were told at prior meetings that EPIC was released. Basically, they were fired. They were told, we don't want you back, we're going with TTI, have a nice day. And the reason that they were released was because it was recommended by Garrison Constructions, and they found out, somebody found out that the roofing company and the EPIC company were both tied in and owned by the same entity. And somebody felt that that was a conflict of interest of some kind.
I don't know what meeting you're talking about. It never came through one of the board meetings. This is the first I'm hearing of that analogy, because that's not the way it occurred from our end.
I have a question regarding performance dates. Your contract was signed May 11th. Start date for the roofing job was June 19th. There's conflicting dates within your contract. One was August 18th for completion, the other September 1st. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt of September 1st. We're now coming up on November 1st, 2 months later, no completion date, incomplete work, and you have the ability to seek liquidated damages of $2,500 a day per your contract. A, why is this roofing contractor still there 2 months past his due date? Question 2, are you seeking the liquidated damages professionally?
We're going to seek everything we can, and we've been in consultation with our attorneys on that. And one of the hardest things to do in public contracts is to remove a contractor. In our situation...
Stop right there. I do this for a living. There is nothing hard about it. You take the second bidder, that's why your first bidder carries a bid bond and a performance bond. You remove him, you can have a new roofing contractor in there within several days and pick up from where he left off. That's an absolute falsehood you're speaking of.
It's not what I'm speaking of, is what I was advised of by our attorneys. And our attorneys says we're in a situation where we would have to advise the bonding company. The bonding company would most likely not remove the contractor at this point of the project.
We know that he violated his own contract with you by roofing over debris on the roof, had to tear it up. My question is, A, why did that happen? B, why is our construction management company that you're paying millions of dollars to oversee this project allow that to happen and put us this far behind with no completion date in sight? It's ridiculous. How can you stand there with a straight face and tell these people here, your staff and administration, that this is acceptable. It's unacceptable. Totally, totally unacceptable.
I don't think any of us disagree with you on that one. It's just the way we do to cure the problem.
Why is there no new completion date? Why are they still over there? What's taking so long?
I would like to know that too. We'd like to get some answers tomorrow.
They violated their contract, September 1st.
I'm not an attorney, sir. I'm just telling you, our attorneys are aware of that, and they're advising us to proceed as we are proceeding.
Is there daily logs on this whole project? Like whenever we do prevailing rate jobs, we have a daily log per trade and where they were working at. Is that being done here?
Yeah, I think so. I would have to check with the construction manager that kind of administers that whole thing.
They don't have to turn them in?
They turn them in, I just don't have them in my possession. That's what the construction management firm's responsibility is. So I'm in the process of gathering them right now.
And Dr. Banks, when did you leave? I assume you're on vacation? When did you leave? Okay, so you were here when Steve posted that on September 16th on the website. So that letter that everyone's referring to.
I was not aware of the contents of that report, so approximately 2 weeks ago.
Even when you were on vacation, no one called you to make you aware?
I am telling you that I was not aware of the contents of that report until approximately 2 weeks ago. And I've been made aware of the report, and I should have done it.
But it was available on the website.
I don't know that.
Okay. And now this might make me look bad. I'm getting my information from Facebook, so I apologize if it does. But this asbestos removal plan we're supposed to have, yeah. We're supposed to have an asbestos removal plan in place, and we haven't since 2011. Is that accurate? Okay, Mr. Brennan.
Asbestos removal plan, Dave, I'm not quite sure. Were you referring to the POSHA issues that I was speaking of earlier? Because there's a plan for the removal that's in the bid specs. That's why I'm just confused. And there are meetings that take place that they document how they're going to do it. And the contractor's been difficult to say the least, as you guys can guess. So we've been having issues, not just with the contract issue, the things that he's saying here, it's with other minor things that have come into play. So we haven't, and we're going on the advice of every professional that is supposed to be involved, and this is the situation that we're in. But I don't know of a specific asbestos plan that we have in-house.
Are we supposed to have an asbestos?
I'm sorry, you're talking about the HERE report, the 5, yes. We do have those, and we update it every 6 months, I believe.
Okay, and Dr. Banks, and obviously you don't know construction, but many people in this room do. So and this is what they're telling you, but it's making you look bad when you try to tell us that there's screws above that 911 memorial that they can't reach. It's a simple high lift, you extend the platform out and you remove the screws. So there's nothing that they...
Yes, they got the high lift, they have the high lift. That was one of the last areas that they have to do.
But it should take a matter of minutes to go up there, extend out, take the screws and set it down.
Yes, that's gonna be done, that is done.
You said it should be done within the next week or so.
Well, I can only read the email.
I could run over there and do it now if you need me.
I'd be happy to help you and get up there myself, believe me.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't know, like they're making it sound like it's a project for you, but anyone in this room could do it within a matter of an hour.
I happen to actually agree with you because I'm over there every day and I'm looking at what the work is and that it should be done. And I'm just actually conveying to you what the report is that I get from the supervisor every day because I asked him to give me those updates, knowing full well that I was.
Who is that supervisor?
His name is Bob Prate. He works with New Road.
Works with New Road?
Right.
So he's
on site every day.
He is?
Right.
And has he been since the beginning? Or
To my knowledge, he has been, Bob has been, yeah.
So then we should have him come to the meeting as well as Chuck Romanelli.
Will Bob be here Monday night? Let's ask him to come. I think we should ask him to come.
If he's the guy on
I
site,
agree with
then he should be the absolute guy.
He should be here.
And if you could extend an invitation to Epic, because their name is being thrown around, so they should be there. And I know people who have spoke to them, they'd be more than willing to.
Well, I see no reason why we can't ask Epic to come either. I think we need to have everybody come and answer the questions that you have posed for us tonight. Absolutely. There's another question here someplace.
This is for Mr. Brennan. I was just wondering, you had said that work was not supposed to be done on the building with the children, and you were suggested, to not have the children in the school or staff what have you in the school. Do you feel work was being done on the school while people were in it, or are you saying that? Do you think that the work wasn't being done?
I know work has been done on that roof while it was occupied, but it wasn't done in the area of concern.
You think that work wasn't being done on the area in concern?
Correct.
You're standing by that?
That's what I'm saying I was advised of, yes.
I'm not saying what you advise of. What do you think? Do you think that work was done there, or are you saying that?
From my understanding, the directive, everyone was off that area of concern. There were areas adjacent to it, as someone alluded to here at Mr. Kirby, that once we were presented with that information, we made adjustments to that. So I think what everyone's kind of missing is we didn't create this problem. We're reacting to it, and we're trying the best we can to get it done. Well, I mean, that's obviously up to interpretation.
If no kids or anybody to occupy, then why weren't there kids in the school? You knew better. It's your job. You're overseeing everything. You should have been right on it. Our kids were there.
She said she didn't get the letter till when?
I do have another question over here.
It's crazy.
You said that school opened when?
I believe the first day for students was the 7th. The first day for staff was the 5th. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so it's difficult.
Okay, I have a question for you.
When was the letter said that there shouldn't be anybody occupied in there? Was it before the kids even started school?
It was the 10th.
So why were they?
No, it was not.
The letter that I have, Epic Environmental, on the top of it, it states September 10th, 2017.
Correct.
So it ain't the 8th.
School started before that. And we based it on, if you look at the August 30th letter from Epic, it said that we were asbestos-free.
Okay.
It was okay to occupy that building. Situations occurred unbeknownst to us until we investigated it later on that led us to believe that the roof wasn't constructed and cleaned the way it should have. And was that letter that you're reading there. Conducted subsequent tests, and there was no roof work going on the roof over that area, as far as I understand.
That letter also said that you should have been doing routine tests from September 10th until October 2nd. How come you did none?
I would have to check on the website. I thought we've done a number of tests.
No, there's none. Nothing.
We've been recognized. We've had POSHA in here, the Department of Labor and the Department of Health, and says we've conducted more tests than they would ever expect at this
On the
point.
Epic Environmentalist report, it states on there to continue routine testing. You did not do that. You put my child and every child in here in harm's way. And I'm very shaken up over this right now. I'm having a hard time talking. I want to know also on September 1st, it says existing conditions. You had an odor in there at that time and you sent our kids to school on September 7th. It also says on September 1st that there was an ethyl benzene and trimethylbenzene on here. It states that, and it says that they were detected above residential and industrial screening levels. How come you didn't let us parents know about this? Why'd you send my child back to school knowing these levels were high?
Those tests I've given to everyone that has the ability to make the decision. I don't have the authority to open or close school. Those tests and that information was made available.
Okay, while you relax, I'll ask my question because she needs to calm down just a little bit. Anyway, moving forward, besides all the construction that's going on, you said our children are going to go back to school at the earliest, middle of November, early December. What, is that a reality, or is this actually going to be, is it going to be a little longer? Because we don't know how long it's going to be. They don't seem to know.
We have a construction meeting tomorrow to try to firm up the timeline that I just shared with you. And if that changes, I'll let you know.
Where is this meeting?
It's at the high school.
It's going to be over there at
It's
the
over at the high
contaminated
school.
building?
It's at the high school.
Let's have it over here. It's a little safer, I think. But
Here's-
my other question is, our children have been coming for half days for months now. And those half days, do they count, or weeks, you're right?
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Do they count as full days?
They count as days in session, correct?
Okay,
Yes,
so they go a half a day and it's a full day in session.
Well, it counts as a full day of session,
Okay.
a legal session. if you will.
Right, okay. So we're looking at the middle of November, early December at the latest, as far as you know.
That is the most recent information that I can give you, based on the information I was given and the work that's being done. If that
Okay.
changes, I definitely will let you know.
Because my son came home and said that I may have to go to Southern and half of the school may have to go to GAMI.
Absolutely.
So is that going to be a reality if the school doesn't open?
I sure hope not. First of all, I have no idea where that discussion is coming from.
I think that was the children probably talking amongst themselves.
Maybe, but that's
I thought it
not-
was pretty funny. We pay all this tax
No,
money.
that's not the, really, no,
We're gonna
that's
give
not
it to
the
another
plan.
town.
That's not the plan. I think I heard a rumor that we were gonna be in split sessions all year. That's definitely not the plan. Absolutely not. Let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen. We are really trying to wrap up phase one of this project, and that's this completion of this roofing and the rising wall, which is that brick work that I was talking to you about over the auditorium. I'm going to tell you right now, and the board is aware of this because in my last update to them, I advised them, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it's not the board's opinion, it's not anybody else's opinion. After this construction, this phase is completed and we're back in that building, it's my recommendation that there be no further construction in that building while it's occupied by students and staff. If we're having trouble with phase one, I'm concerned about what phase two is going to look like. And phase two involves the actual ripping off of the brick. I am not a contractor. I'm really not a construction worker, but I know what I'm concerned about, the problems that we've had with trying to get through phase one, which is really not supposed to be a problem. So I stand here telling you that the board is aware of my recommendation that they consider halting construction or doing a late shift work after, in other words, having them start working on construction after the kids leave at the end of the day and work on weekends, but not while the building is occupied. It's not my recommendation.
I do have a question back here.
Where?
Well, I do have a few statements here before I ask the question. Working as a first mate on a fishing boat, if somebody on the crew did not clean up properly, I was in trouble for it and I had to own up to it. Working as a contractor, I had to also follow the contracts to the letter or risk losing my job and losing the contract. Working as a property manager, I had to supervise the contractors, and I was there every day watching everything they did and making sure that they were making progress. In these situations, I've never once made six figures. So I wondered, why are we paying you guys six figures for not doing your jobs?
I was just going to point out to you, your recommendation of no work during school sessions. Epic already made that recommendation, and we just went and found somebody else who allowed work during school. So that recommendation is really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you,
Right?
but I'm here publicly making my recommendation to you.
well, we have professionals that made that recommendation, and he decided to look the other way, find somebody else, so.
I have a question back here in the back. Regarding, I understand that there's debris in the ductwork in the HVAC system. It was turned on during construction at some point during construction. So therefore, there's dust in the HVAC system. So even if the roof is cleaned perfectly, when you turn the ventilation on again, it's going to. Are you committing to fully cleaning out that ductwork before students are put back in that school?
Absolutely, we're cleaning it as best as we can right now, and we're going to do air quality. We're going to do air quality tests and everything we can to make sure that is. I mean, if you're looking for an answer that you want me to give you, I can just only give you what I know and what I'm advised of. There's a lot of working parts in a construction project of this size. I can't be an expert in every one of them. My opinion differs a little bit than yours, and that's fine. That's great. In some of yours with what the board said, but just the ductwork, we are committed to making sure that that's clean and it's spotless before we open it back up.
Thank you.
I have a question about, I have two students that are in the AMVO, and they both have IEPs, and I wanted to make sure you were aware that they're being taken over the alternative school, and they're not being educated with the rest of the AMVO kids in that afternoon. And they have two teachers over there. They're the only two teachers they've seen. They don't have any, my one son has graphic design, he's never seen that teacher, doesn't have a MacBook over there, so he can't work on it. I don't know if there's anybody here.
Yeah, I think, because we'll be wrapping up, I'm hoping soon, so that you can speak with Mrs. Ward and I think Mrs. Kenny, because they handle the schedules for this.
All they're doing is working on Google Classroom. They could do that.
I'm going to ask Mrs. Ward and Mrs. Kenny to answer your concern. Okay.
Again, yes, ma'am. Again, with the screws, like you're saying mid-November. The whole reason we closed the school, according to the meetings, is because of the screws falling. So I think they've had ample time, but like you're saying, don't let them play you more than they already are. If it's for the screws, let them take it can't take another 3 weeks from now.
I understand.
And then you're saying maybe mid-December. That would be another 6 weeks of taking these screws out. Like that's absurd.
Well, there's another
piece.
Yeah, but there's a second piece to this, Dave, and that is the brickwork that's being done up on the roof. So the question is, really, do we want to open the building while the brickwork is still being done up there? And my recommendation is no.
And are they working full time?
That would be there. Well, like you see the rain yesterday and today.
No, I didn't notice.
Yes. I'm so glad you're here.
But they are working on it.
No, yeah. So my recommendation is no, that we not open the building until everything is completed and this contractor, this roofer is gone. He's out of
Sorry,
here.
one more. I know because Todd Nugent just texted me.
Sure.
Can you confirm that the lady cleaning, and he said to ask Rich personally, the lady cleaning was the girlfriend of the roofing contractor?
It's the first time I'm here.
Todd said you were talking to her and the three of you had a conversation. She was the girlfriend of the roofer who was doing the
That
cleaning.
I had that conversation?
No, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, this is news to me.
Todd just said him and Rich had a conversation with her. She said
Absolutely
she's the
news
girlfriend
to
of the
me.
roofer.
No, I have no, I can't answer your
Okay.
question.
I didn't think you'd be able to answer,
I
but he
have
asked.
no idea,
Thank you.
you know? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think what I'm gonna ask you to do is, we're gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna invite you back on Monday night, and we will continue this conversation when the contractors and the architects and everybody are here to answer your questions. Thank you so much for coming out. Have a great night.